Do you know when the voice is gonna speak?
Sometimes.
Does it ever say things just to you that you can only hear?
Yes.
Does it feel like it's coming from inside of you?
More like it's coming from behind me. Like I'm being used.
What does it say?
It said it wants to hurt you.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast That Wouldn't Die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
What up?
This week, we'll be discussing the horror classic.
Somewhere between a classic and something else.
And something else. The Conjuring Part 2. Starring Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, and others.
In Italian, it's The Conjuring Due.
Due. Pop.
I think that might be French.
Und drei.
Ein, zwei, drei, vier, fünf.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anywho, we saw The Conjuring not too long ago.
And that was good,
and
right?
I loved the first Conjuring. I liked it so much. I had to add it to my collection. And I think this movie, not bad, but by no means not as good as the original Conjuring, I have to say. Thoughts, feelings?
We don't have a Conjuring 3 yet, because Star Wars 2 was never as good as Star Wars 1, I'm going by that.
That's not true, though. Empire Strikes Back is much better than Star Wars.
You are just so wrong. I don't know.
You're
boys,
wrong.
I don't know why boys can believe that. But it's clearly Star Wars 1 is a standalone. Star Wars 2 is a vehicle for Star Wars 3.
I disagree. And
you just like the Luke, I am your father.
That's what it's all about. It's all about that. If you can have that, then you're good to go. No, but I'll tell you what. One thing we can't agree on is that Return of the Jedi is lousy.
With the frickin' Ewoks, dear Jesus.
With the damn Ewoks. With the
Son
damn
of
Ewoks.
A biscuit. Well,
We
I'm
should have
hoping that Conjuring 3 will be better than Conjuring 2.
It's supposed to come out like in a year or two, and it's called The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Is what it's called.
Now, is that Conjuring 3, or is it one of these shitty Annabelle the Nun kind of bullcrap?
No, it's Lorraine and Ed Warren in their most triumphant case yet.
Now, I refuse to see the lesser Conjurings, but are the Warrens not in the other ones?
I have never seen them myself. I don't believe they are.
Oh, well, there you go. Half of these movies is watching the Warrens. Fiction, the heavily fictionalized Warrens.
If you were telling me. You were telling me. What I was thinking about when I started to watch this, and I realized it's a question I had in the first movie, is what exactly is being conjured in these movies?
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's called they're being conjured up and told to fly all over the world.
Right. Basically, because it's in my mind, I'm not an expert, but conjuring is kind of like a magic spell, like you're calling for,
like summoning, isn't that what it is?
Something like that, right? I mean, is it the evil spirits and demons are being conjured? Is that what we're supposed to think?
I guess so, but yeah, nothing is actually being conjured.
No,
it's already conjured. They're not conjuring,
right?
It's already there.
There's no scene.
The other version of the story where it's actually the Warrens going around making ghosts appear to get a paycheck. That could be a fun one.
That's clearly what's occurring right now, by the way. No, there's no scene with like a witch over like a cauldron, double toil and trouble or anything like that. There's no conjuring.
Not yet. Yeah.
Maybe that's the next one.
The name is problematic. How about the Warrens?
How about the Waltons?
Just
call it like that.
Oh my God, The Haunting of Walton Mountain, the Walton Poltergeist, where it's just John Boy with that melanoma that just starts creeping, and then when he touches you, you get the melanoma.
I saw Ralph Waite at the Palm Desert Town Center when he was running for Congress.
I saw him at the Palm Springs Airport one time, too.
There you go. No one under the age of 50 knows what the hell we're talking
Mr.
about.
Walton. I know. Now that we have 900 channels 24 hours a day, nobody sees old reruns of old TV shows. Except old people.
Can't say as I blame them. Let me just put it that way.
The only reason we know these things is because back in the old days, before cable, you had like 12 channels. So you watch whatever the hell was on or whatever your mother made you. I mean, we were only allowed, I don't know when you were a child. I think by the time you hatched on the scene, mom and dad just given up parenting. But back in my day, it was 1 hour of TV time unless mom decided she didn't want you to watch it. But the free pass, because it was family viewing, was the Waltons. I didn't count against it because everybody's like, I don't want to watch that if that counts against my hour of TV.
Oh, goodness.
That's
the Waltons were long since gone.
Yeah.
Lovely. Lovely. Give us your 30-second synopsis of The Conjuring 2.
All right. So we have the Warrens, and what would have been probably a more interesting story, we're at Amityville, where she's channeling ghosts and gets this premonition of that jacked up nun, which we were talking about is in a lesser Conjuring movie. So,
remind us who the Warrens are again, in case somebody didn't listen to our previous episode.
Okay, first of all, how are you listening to a horror movie sci-fi podcast if you didn't at least dabble at the public library in the occult section? Come on. The Warrens...
Okay, again, nobody under the age of 50 is dabbling in the library. Very sad.
All right. So the Warrens are a couple who started off ghost hunters and moved on to demonologists after The Exorcist. Purportedly the only non-priests that the Catholic Church works with as far as exorcisms and stuff. So that's their back. So this is based on a true story. So
very loosely.
Loose as a goose, especially their involvement at Amityville. Super loose.
Yep.
So anyway, do I have to explain the Amityville horror? Before Harry Potter, there was a book called The Amityville Horror, where every human being on the earth read this book. It was so terrifying because it was purported to be a true, 100% true story, later refuted. So, at the time, it was literally terrifying. The Catholic Church never had so many new recruits because only the Catholic Church knows how to deal with these demons, man. In every one of these demonic movies, they're not going to the Unitarians. They're not going to the Christ Scientists. They're not going to the LDS. They're going to the good old-fashioned Catholic Church. But I digress. So we see the Warrens at Amityville channeling because the wife is a medium and the dude does all the heavy lifting. So she's channeling. She gets a premonition of someone killing her husband. Boom. We wake up. We're in present time. The wife says, I don't want to do this anymore. We can go on the TV shows, but I think we need to lay off this nonsense.
It was present time in 1977.
Yeah, present time 1977. So, it's one of those things where it's like, when the cop says he's retiring in 3 days, they're going to die. So when the demonologist says, I don't think we should take any more cases, immediately there's another case. The case is in England about a little girl being possessed and hauntings, and it's out of control. And the Catholic Church taps them and says, hey, I need you to go over there, be our eyes and ears. Tell us if it's a real thing. We don't want to be involved if it's a hoax. Absolutely. Bingo, bango. They go over there. The house is all messed up. There's like a lake in the basement, which you figure the smell would have been a punch in the face as soon as you walk. And talk about rising damp. No. That would have been black mold. They would have all been dead.
You better believe it. It was like a swamp down there.
It was like 12 feet deep. It had to have been the biggest freaking basement in the world. There must have been like a World War II bomb shelter for the neighborhood in there. I think it
was
tapped
huge.
into the underground. I
It
think
was
if you
huge.
kept walking down the stairs, you would be at the center of the earth. So anyway, the Warrens get over there. You get sassy McFrassy teenager who's possessed by the ghost of an old man, or is it? And you know, it's not. It's a freaking demon, and the Warrens save the day. The end.
Good work.
The beauty
Nicely
of
done.
this little story is there. You can go on YouTube right now and see the real stuff. And they kind of, because of that, in the movie at the end, they showed you the pictures of the actors alongside the real people.
Right.
You can see the recordings versus the real recordings, the videos that they did versus the real videos. It was very interesting. I sent those to you, Kevin. I'm sure you did not watch them.
I glanced.
I was up
Good
till
Lord.
11 o'clock, deep dive in that business.
I read a little bit about it. What were your initial thoughts about hearing that they were making a sequel to The Conjuring? Did you have any opinion?
Oh, no, when I heard they were making a new Conjuring, I was all about it. Because like I said, the actors that play the Warrens are amazing. Especially Vera. She was fantastic in Bates Motel. I mean, she's fantastic in whatever she does.
Yeah. She's
I'm
good.
What is it? Famiglia? Vera Famiglia?
No. Vera Farmiga.
I don't know.
Not amygdala or whatever else you were saying.
No more
Good
Rogato,
Lord.
Mr. Roboto?
Clearly not.
But anyway,
Wah,
I'm
wah.
not going to call her Vera. Because even though I took Italian for years, I cannot actually even say the letters correctly. So she's fantastic. The first Conjuring was great, so I was all about it. Did I want to go see Annabelle? Hell no.
Not so much.
No.
I was late to the party. Truly, I remember seeing the ads or whatever. I had not much of an opinion about it.
Oh,
But
I saw it straight at the theater.
You were seeing
it
it straight at the theater. I saw The Conjuring a year or two ago, the first Conjuring, and I thought that was so good that at that point I was excited to see the second one.
Correct.
And again, if you haven't seen the first one, I highly recommend it, and I recommend you go listen to our podcast of the first one, just to get you ready for the good times that you're going to have.
Good call. And I will tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed this when I saw it at the theater. Is it as good as the first one? No. Is it still worth seeing? Yes.
You know what it is for me, and I sat there watching it, the initial scene in the Amityville Horror House.
Yes.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, get us going with this. Because this is kind of their conceit, where they're kind of dabbling in another case and before shifting into the main case,
right?
Basically, they did that in the first movie where they're like dabbling with Annabelle before going into the haunted mansion in the woods or whatever.
Yeah, it gives them some credibility because in the first one you didn't really know anything about any of that. But when you're throwing out, boom, we were there at Amityville. Well, then they have straight cred, straight street cred.
What's funny is sitting there, because again, I hadn't seen this prior to this watch. When they open up on that window, that weird kind of like a curved window, I'm like, that's the Amityville.
Absolutely. I could never live in one of those houses with those weird Dutch colonial or whatever the hell that is. No.
Because it looks like the evil eyes.
They're demon eyes, clearly.
Right. So that was dynamite. And I definitely had a little bit of, because I was downstairs. This is like, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night watching by myself. Oh, because we've talked about this before. Ghost movies have the potential to be scarier than any other movie you'll see.
Right.
Because there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And they can, you can lock your doors. Good luck.
Yeah. It's not like a zombie. You can go hide up in a tree or something unless you got tree climbing zombies. Ghosts are going anywhere they damn well please.
Right. They can just pop up. You're screwed. So I was definitely a little apprehensive because I remember that feeling from the first movie. But the rest of the movie, I wasn't nearly as scared at any other time in the movie. You know what I mean? It was just
Uh-huh.
kind of like, I didn't find it particularly scary. Shut me down. I mean, it wasn't unenjoyable, but it was by no means like, oh, I'm scared. This is kind of more of that insidious level of scariness, in my opinion.
I would agree with that, but I do believe it's a better movie than any of the Insidiouses.
Insidii?
Insidii, that's plural for Insidios. Insidia, if it's feminine.
Studio? I don't know. It's one of those.
Studio. Whatever the hell that means.
That's another question for another podcast.
Tell us, Bill.
Please. Okay, so let's move right into the highlights. Did you have any highlights you wanted to share?
Oh man, well I like some of the stuff because I couldn't remember the last time I saw this, but I like that they have little clues throughout the film about what's going on, like what the answer is, because you're looking for the demon's name, and
right.
I like that they have that tucked away all through the movie.
Right, we're going to talk about that in behind the scenes, but
well, it's not really behind the scene; it's in the scene.
But if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss it. The secret word is everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere in the movie.
If you're one of those people like me who has to like snoop around, like even though they might be saying something important, my eye is not necessarily looking at them. I'm looking all around. I'm looking for strange and interesting things, and I kept seeing this like name, like you would put like a little kid's name, except they only have the one daughter, and that's not the daughter's name. So I was like, "What's this? What's all around in the breakfast nook?" So
I just heard the pitter patter of little feet upstairs, because I'm in the closet upstairs.
Was it a demon, in fact?
And I was like, "Oh crap! If it's my dog Maggie, she's gonna be up here peeing under the bed. I need to get her." So I abandon ship here, run out there. I'm like, Maggie. And Becky's like, she's downstairs. Bum, bum, bum. Something? I don't know. Something being conjured in my very own home? Sweet Jesus.
Okay. I was at this hotel in Scotland. No, we're just divesting into ghost stories. So I was in this hotel in Scotland near the Isle of Skye. And it kind of looked like Faulty Towers.
Perfect.
So we were on the top floor. And I was laying in bed, and I hear footsteps going back and forth. I turned and looked at Mossy, and we're like looking at each other. Our eyes are just listening to these foot. I'm like, they did say we're on the top floor, right? This was like 11 o'clock at night. Creepy. That's why we always describe it. It's called the Caledonian in Port Augusta. It is half Faulty Towers, half The Shining, without the murder.
It is shocking and horrifying.
There you go.
Lovely, lovely. So the hidden word is everywhere through the house if you're paying attention. Of course, we don't know the significance of this until late in the movie. One thing I found hilarious, and evidently this was true to life, is that the kids were huge David Soul fans.
Oh my God.
It was nonstop Starsky and Hutch.
First of all, not only that, Bay City Roller fans. Huge Bay City Rollers.
That makes more sense to me than David Soul and Paul Michael Glaser.
Okay, let me lay it on you. I had, in 9th grade, that Paul Michael Glaser poster.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I had that and an ELO poster in my dorm room at the villa.
So you're the Conjuring.
I am the Conjuring. And you know what? Those snotty girls at my boarding school didn't make fun of the Paul Michael Glaser, but they did make fun of my ELO. So I'm sure they're burning in hell right now.
No David Soul on the wall?
Don't give up on us, baby. Yeah, but now he's like some Trump F. So
that's very sad.
Yeah.
Well, his career did give up on him. I'm sad to say. Not too long.
Your career, and you know Paul Michael Glaser. His wife was the Susan G. Komen.
I don't know. Is that supposed to mean something to me? Who's that?
The breast cancer place that had the pink ribbons. The Susan G. Komen Fight for the Cure.
Okay.
Ended up being scandal. That's the whole reason why people wore pink ribbons for breast cancer.
Oh, okay.
Oh dear.
What's the scandal then?
Oh, there was some.
How
there
did
was
Paul
some
Michael Glaser fit
unfortunate.
in?
He was the husband.
Was he involved in the scandal?
No, he was not involved, but it was his wife, who is Susan G. Komen, which you don't even know what the hell I'm saying. I believe there were some unfortunate comments from the people that were running it, so they quickly got defunded. It was kind of like the Live Strong situation where everybody was all about it, and then, uh-oh.
Wah, wah, wah.
Uh-huh.
You guys will have to Google this. We're going on some serious bird walks here.
There we are.
Tangent City.
But not Bird Box. That's
not
different.
Bird Box. That's a whole different story. I found it interesting when they first introduced that the place is haunted. There's a lot of like bang, 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 or people screaming, and wow, what's that? And people don't wake up. It's like if you're in the room and a person's screaming, you're probably going to wake up.
Yes.
If you're in the next room, you're probably going to wake up.
Yes.
And people are screaming.
Yes.
But this did not happen in this movie. It wasn't until literally somebody's like waking up mom in her bed. Mom! Finally they snap out of it.
Well, maybe their mom's a drinker. We don't know.
Well, it's a sad situation. She's a single mom of 4 children living in a straight shanty. That house, they go out of their way to establish this house is a shithole.
Yeah, well, it's a council flat, so that means they're on the welfare. So they've been assigned. This is like what we would call like Section 8 housing.
Well, they established that maybe that's why they're doing this.
Right.
Well, why this is like she's already applied for better housing. And
interesting enough, it's similar to Amityville where they got in over their heads and they couldn't afford this house anymore.
This is a reoccurring theme in the world of spooks and specters and demons, evidently. We're going to have to talk about that in behind the scenes.
All right.
We talked about it briefly. The massive leak that's going on underneath this house is ridiculous. Like literally she's trying to do the laundry and water shoots out of the pipes. I figured she turned off the water. Evidently she just said, oops, my bad, and then left.
She has other things on her mind.
Clearly, when homie walks downstairs later, it is literally like a swamp. It is 5 feet of water just going. It's like, this can't be good. This can't be good for anybody.
Yeah, it was deep. But then in their house, and if you look at the wall behind the leather chair, it is literally just clumping up with like black freaking mold.
Yes, I did see that. Well, I mean, there's also just like exposed brick where it's just crumbled away, big cracks in the walls. The place is thrashed.
That's why we have punk rock music and Londoners are rioting, I guess.
That's right. The Clash is playing. It's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have like scenes specifically that I want to talk about, but I definitely have observations that
go ahead. Because that's kind of. I've got some observations. I mean, this movie was throwing everything at you.
Yes.
You got like a Slenderman character. You got possession.
Yes.
You've got demons. You've got ghosts. You've got the BBC. You got the documentaries. You got the hormonal teenage girls. You got it all.
Usually that's enough. You got it all. But I have to say, there wasn't that hammer scene where I'm just like, oh, damn. There wasn't an oh, damn moment. You know what I'm saying?
No.
There was just a lot of little this and that. It's kind of like what you say. Okay, just to cut to the chase. There is the ghost of the guy who used to live there, right? What was his name? Bill? Bill is the one whose voice that young Janet channels every now and again, who's supposed to be the main haunting guy, right? Used to live there. And I guess this character, Bill, is actually the one that's really based on the real events, right? The Bill used to live there. Now, what they did in this movie is then they said, well, that's not some old chair is not scary enough. Even if we give him scary eyes.
Possessing like a prepubescent or a pubescent young girl. That's not scary.
That's not scary enough. You don't find out till the end of the movie that it's not really a nun. It's a demon disguised as a nun, right? Then there's the crooked man. What does he have to do with any of this stuff? Where is he coming from? Who knows?
And I understand. I mean, they had the zoetrope, but this is 1977. They weren't paying with some weird tin type freaking toy. I mean, you play that once, and then what? Then you throw it away. It's like Nano used to bring out like our dad's wind up toys. They're like, oh, okay, you can put that away now.
Right.
This is the 70s, man. People had TV and did things. It wasn't like,
right.
This is Little House on the Prairie. It'd be like, oh, okay, so now I sang the song, put it away, and it'll never played with again.
No, that was somewhere.
Yeah,
but
they would throw in all kinds of crap.
Right.
They had like the tent, which came right out of Sixth Sense.
Yep. Absolutely. Little kid played. I don't think we saw the kid in the tent once. Right?
But it's because it was full of demons. Well, who wants to go in the demon tent?
And then later, it's straight demon tent. That's exactly right. But that's my point. Is the crooked man the old man, or just another rando that's just hanging out in the house? It's kind of that Insidious thing where it's just like, here are a bunch of random scary things where there's no connection there.
Let's throw that in there. A dog that rings the bell. Bells are scary. Kids hate bells.
Exactly.
And then the crooked man ended up being the little girl. The only interesting scene is when it's the dog who busts out as a transformer and becomes the crooked
That was
man.
a cool scene. That was a cool scene.
That was kind of a cool scene because, the crooked man, the slender man, Jack Skellington, it's all the same effing thing.
Right.
But it's kind of like that spidery, long, slender legs and arms. That was kind of creepy.
But I gotta say, it looked very computer generated to me. So when they zoom in on it, it looked kind of crappy. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what did you want? Like Ray Harryhausen, some claymation?
I wanted some claymation.
The Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
Don't knock it. We'll be doing that next week.
With the collie.
Love it.
Collie with the legs and the arms. Oh, that's all good. I love Ray Harryhausen.
You got to do it. So
nobody knows what we're talking about again.
Okay, sweet Jesus. There are a lot of scenes in this movie where the doors are slammed shut.
Yeah.
We're trying to get in there, slam the door shut. At one point, Patrick Wilson tries to act like he's on an episode of SWAT.
Warren.
He tries to kick down the door, except for the problem is the hinges are on the wrong side. Meaning he's kicking the door closed. The little things that we notice. It's like, come on, man. Sweet Jesus. One more thing. Do you have anything? We'll go back to you.
In the basement, I mean,
yes.
First of all, I don't know if there's a live electrical wire in there.
There could be.
I mean, don't you call the utilities for this shit? But the dudes coming up out of the water and the face in the water, grabbing the hand, that's all awesome. That's awesome. That was good, scary business.
Well, you knew bad things were going to happen if you're swimming in the swamp water underneath the house.
There's a reason why it's full of water. I mean, they could have pushed it a little further, but they didn't.
They did not. Very sad.
Yeah.
They introduced another character based on a real guy, Morris Gross, I believe his name was. He was sent from the Department of Psychical Research, dealing with, I guess, Great Britain has its own societies that deal with these things. Evidently.
Just to let everybody know, they publicize this with the idea is, we need all the help we can get. And if we go to the media, then someone can help us.
Right.
So we got a BBC documentary crew there. We've got whatever old retired dudes from the Psychic Researcher there. Anyone you got the wards. Anyone who's anyone is popping over here to see what's going on in the freak house.
Evidently, this guy Morris Gross, who I swear to God, it was like Rip Taylor, basically, with the mustache and all the stuff. He was basically throwing confetti whenever he walked in the room. It was very strange. That's an old reference as well. He evidently the psychical research people were there for like 2 years researching this, and Ed and Lorraine Warren were there for 4 days. They walked in and immediately said, "Hey, yep, you got demons in here." So good times.
I mean, that's probably 10 times the involvement they had at Amityville. Where people are like, "What are you doing here? We didn't ask you to come."
You got demons. Sweet Jesus. So, any other observations or highlights you want to share before we move on?
All right. So I have a couple of things, but I don't know if they're really story related. They're like some inaccuracies. At one point, there's that song, the da 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 da. Do you remember that?
I think it was like they were whistling it. The ghost was whistling.
They were whistling it, and all I kept thinking is why are they singing the Barney song? Oh my God! It was the Barney song. But it wasn't the Barney song, because the Barney song is This Old Man. I'm like, it took me like a half an hour Googling this crap.
Yeah.
Remember? This old man, he turned one, he played one, he played knick-knack on my thumb. But honestly, in these days,
I love you,
I'm sure
you love
everybody
me.
thinks it's the Barney song. I mean, do kids even know these old nursery rhyme songs?
We can only hope.
Everyone who saw that, it was the Barney song.
Yes, it was. It was. I remember it. They at a much slower tempo, but you're actually like, I know that song. Is that Barney?
Yeah.
Very sad.
So that was very, and then the rest of my stuff are kind of like inconsistencies. All right.
Well, why don't we go right to behind the scenes then? You ready? Go for it.
I gotcha. So it opens. England, you got the punks, people are rioting, and they're playing London Calling, right?
Yeah.
We're setting a time.
Yes.
Except the London Calling song wasn't even published for 2 years.
Very sad.
And then it flips right over to like in 1966. I'm like, what are they establishing here? So that I thought that was weird. There was a part where they're fighting over the remote control, the girl and Bill the ghost.
The clicker.
The clicker. So, and I remember those kind of clickers. So the thing was, she wants to watch her it's Christmas time, whatever silly Christmas thing is, and he's clicking over to Margaret Thatcher. Except, that's her Iron Lady speech. That doesn't even come about till 1980. This is 1977. How about that?
You're saying they're not as concerned about historical accuracy?
Because for some reason, she's talking about her makeup and her red organza. And so I was like, well, what is this? What is this speech? And it's her famous Iron. I mean, it's not even happening for like 4 years. I was deep diving inconsistencies. I was actually looking at the posters of the Bay City Rollers to determine band members to make sure that it was the right band member at the right time.
I mean, look, I was 2 when this movie supposedly takes place. Was Starsky and Hutch an international phenomenon?
Oh, I think
that everybody was in.
Everybody loves Starsky and Hutch. No, that's huge. That's huge.
And David Soul specifically? Sweet Jesus.
Well, it's the age-old debate. You want the blonde or you want the brunette? I was always a pro-brunette. Especially in the 70s. You don't want a blonde with a mustache. Ew.
Did he have a mustache on that show? I thought he was clean. He had like kind of sideburns. I don't know.
The
wispy.
You're probably right, but I'm just telling you, Paul Michael Glazer, because he was also in Fiddler on the Roof. That was my slice of bread right there.
That was your slice of bread. I don't even know what that means, but okay, good times. This movie takes place, I guess, 6 years after the first movie, which is why the daughter is older.
Okay.
They were trying to make that point, trying to kind of set the stage. As we said, or maybe we didn't say it enough, This is a real case. It's called the Enfield Poltergeist case.
Yes.
And it is roundly determined to be a total hoax. And in fact, members of the Society of Psychical Research. Is psychical a word, by the way? Wouldn't you just say psychic?
When you're in your own club, you can come up with your own terminology.
Even members of the psychical, sweet Jesus, of the society were criticizing their own researchers, saying they were way too credulous. Like they wanted to believe it, so therefore they did. Basically.
I mean, and that's the Warrens. You tell the Warrens that you're haunted by a ghost. Oh yeah, I can feel it. Boom. Not only is it a ghost, it's probably a demon. Boom.
But I mean, based upon
I'm not sure the Warrens ever said no, this is a hoax.
Well, they even say that in the movie. They say that like at one point they're at a talk show, and kind of a skeptic's like, the Warrens have walk into any house and say, "Oh yes, a haunting here, another demon possession." They never say no. Sorry. You're on the wrong track.
Think that's based on a real interview. So they try to throw in it because this is at a point, this is a story that got so much publicity that they can string together all these bits of real truth into the story.
Right. Well, I mean, this movie deals with the most famous cases, essentially. Amityville Horror.
The greatest hits.
The greatest hits.
The Warrens' greatest hits.
Amityville Horror, the same kind of thing, where it's like, what is a couple, and they're a big fancy house in Amity,
Long Island,
and it was too expensive. They couldn't
afford it.
Couldn't afford it after the fact, so they allegedly ginned up this whole the house is possessed kind of thing. And of course, the Warrens show up for 5 seconds.
Like $60,000 for it.
Yeah, because it was something. Because there had been a murder in there,
right? A real murder where a dude had killed his entire family. The dude's still in prison, I think.
Ronnie DeFeo, who claimed he was possessed by a demon, and that's why he did it.
But now it's later determined he was possessed by meth, I think.
You're right, he was on drugs. So they kind of used that as a backdrop to try to get out of this mortgage, but also make a little cash on the side by selling like the book rights and the movie rights and all that good stuff.
Right, and like I said, it was the book. Everybody read. I was in junior high and everybody was reading this. Everybody who was anybody read this book because it was a true story of haunting.
Quote unquote. So
and
there you have it.
Every movie was pure crap, but that book was scary as shit.
You speak lies. I thought the original with James Brolin and Margot Kidder and Rod Steiger, very scary. Very scary.
I mean, of all the Amityville movies, the first one is the best one.
You gotta watch
that, Bo.
You gotta watch Amityville 3D with Lori Loughlin. Who else is in it? It's like Lori Loughlin and I think it's like Sarah Jessica
Is she
Parker
in prison yet?
In this movie. It's all 3D.
No.
Yeah,
that's never a sign of quality.
No, but it's a sign of hilarity. That's you get. That's the good one. Okay, so then a few years later, you've got the Enfield Poltergeist basically going down. But it's basically determined that the two teenage girls faked. And one of them even admits, she said, well, we faked about 2% of it. Because it was something like, if they ever were watching them, the poltergeist wouldn't come out. You had to like turn your back. There was pictures that they took of the girls levitating around the room, which were clearly pictures of them jumping on their bed. Right. It was like so ridiculous.
Like a trampoline.
And at one point, and they talk about this in the movie, they videotaped them surreptitiously throwing stuff around the room. Basically. But that being said,
go ahead. Now, the beauty is, because I watched the real interviews right after watching the movie. So they're interviewing the two sisters. And
like, what is it, like 11 and 13, something like that?
Exactly, but it's an 11-year-old who's the focus of all of this. So
right, she's the ventriloquist.
So you see her visibly transforming. I talk in a voice like this. My name is Bill. then
I'm convinced.
There's a possession happening right now.
You're right.
Kevin, there's a ghost under your bed.
So that is how she's talking. So
Yes.
is it that everybody? I mean, I assumed everyone can use that voice.
Of course.
Because literally in the movie, the priest plays this recording is this old man senile? This is a young girl. The devil, you say? What?
It must be a demon.
It must be a demon. We're getting to England stat. So in the movie, you see this, like, she visibly transforms and she's speaking like a demon. In the real interview, the girls are like smiling. The young girl, she'll talk regularly, then she'll talk in the cuckoo voice. She always tends to try to put her hand over her mouth when she's making the dark voice. And at one point, the interviewer says, so when did the haunting begin? And the young girl says, it's not haunted. And her sister turns to her, gives her a crazy look, and says, don't say that. We'll get in trouble. Hello,
it's like the balloon
hilarity.
boy.
And quite frankly, every time she talks in the demon voice, her older sister is suppressing a smile.
Right.
I'm telling you, get on the YouTube, people. Don't listen to the audio. You got to watch the actual video. It is so kooky. Teenagers, see, this is my new theory that I came up with. Teenage boys like to either school shoot, torture animals, or fight each other. Teenage girls on the verge of puberty like to accuse people of being witches and getting them all burned up just for fun. Or
just for fun.
Get possessed by ghosts.
Watch out. Anywho, but here's the thing. Reading the reports, they talk about how their neighbors and even the police who came to investigate talk about how they saw chairs move by themselves. And they couldn't figure out how that happened.
There is that, because I saw the interview with the police, just like in the movie. So they paralleled they have this whole BBC documentary. Like I said, it's like 30 minutes or something, and literally the narrator makes it sound like they're kooks.
Right.
It's very British sarcastic through this whole thing. And I was like, this is so odd. This is just so weird, because they're purporting that it's true, but the narrator is so sarcastic to the entire thing. It's like a 30-minute interview. But yeah, so they interviewed the police, who were just as rigid as the actors, but they're talking about the chair moving. In fact, the police saw more than just the chair moving. The female officer claimed she picked up the chair. She looked all around it. She saw no wires. So there were some of this weird stuff, and which is straight out of Poltergeist. I'm sure that's where he got that idea from, because they do that thing with the sliding chair. So there's that. I don't know how these kids came up with all of that. And there's interviews with the real neighbors saying about the weird stuff they saw too. I'm just speaking to the possession. I can't speak to anything else, but looking at this little girl, looking at the interaction between the two sisters, it just seemed like hooly magooly to me.
Right. That's kind of the thing. If there was anything about it that was real, you know what I mean? If there was really a haunting, why would you fake anything?
Yeah.
That's the question. Why would you be like, well, yeah, chairs are being thrown around, we're being levitated.
But that's not enough.
Right. Like the videos show her like bending the spoons and like all sorts of stuff to like fake out people. Who's to say?
Knocking, they have terrible pipes, as we saw. I don't know if you've ever lived in an older house, but if there's air in the pipes, it will make this bang, 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 especially if you have radiators. It will make a banging sound that sounds like it's coming from inside the wall.
Because it is.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean demonic possession, I'm sad to say.
Or maybe it does. Maybe every old house is possessed by the hot water demon. I don't know.
Do you have any other behind the scenes you want to talk about, or should we move on?
No, I think that's about it. I would watch it and then go look at the real stuff because it's kind of cool to look at the documentary and see the real girls.
Right.
Yeah, there was no twisted little girl stuffed in a packet. The Warrens didn't save the day. Old Earl Warren wasn't kicking down doors. Give me a break.
That was great. There's a lot of, it was a lot of like, how are we going to get in? I'm going to slam myself into this door a couple times. The kindly neighbor brings his axe, tries to chop the door down for 4 hours or whatever. Let's go to the cast. We talked about this briefly. You got Vera Farmiga playing Lorraine Warren. You know her from Up in the Parted, Bates Motel. You've got Patrick Wilson, who played Ed Warren. He
was also in Insidious.
He was in Insidious. He was in the Phantom of the Opera movie. There you go. He was in
was
Watchmen.
he the Phantom? Who did he play in the Phantom of the Opera?
He was, well, strangely enough, the guy who played the Phantom was, oh man, that who was in the 300. What is his name? Gerard Butler. Gerard Butler.
Oh, I like him. He's cute.
He was the Phantom.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that garbage.
Patrick Wilson played Raoul, her love interest.
Yeah, he seems like a Raoul.
But he has the beautiful singing voice, which we see in this movie, singing Elvis. So there you go. In a totally random,
I thought you were going to say he's singing the Barney song.
He was singing the Barney song as well. The daughter, Janet, is played by Madison Wolfe. I don't know what else she was in. She was in Trumbo, if you ever saw that. What's interesting about her is she's actually American. The main British possession victim is actually American. And her accent was so good. Patrick Wilson had worked with her before on another project, and he did not recognize her because of her accent. He thought it was a different actress. There you go. The mom was played by Frances O'Connor. She's actually been in a few things. She was big probably 20 years ago. Like she was in what? She was in AI. She was in Mansfield Park.
I saw that.
What else was she in? She was in a few things.
British stuff?
British stuff from around 2000 was kind of her big claim to fame. I loved her.
Merchant Ivory?
But definitely Merchant Ivory. I enjoyed her in a movie called Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley. If you haven't seen that and you want a few little laughs, check that out.
All righty.
It's an all-star cast. So there you go. We talked about how they are they're still doing these Conjuring spinoffs. We have the new one coming out in a couple of years. The Devil Made Me Do It. They've already released the Nun movie, the Nun spinoff,
which I refuse to see unless you force me to.
I haven't seen it, and again, if it's a demon anyway, then what's the backstory?
Yeah,
if it's just a demon like taking the disguise of a nun to be upsetting to a religious person,
because a demon is always a demon. Is that it? Are we gonna see the demon as a baby, or do demons just pop out whole and nun-like?
Who the hell knows? And they were supposed to make a Crooked Man movie, which has not come out yet.
Well, I think that was supplanted by the Slender Man, and you saw how successful that was.
That's the Slender Man is a real thing. Damn it!
Sure it is.
No, it's not. It was actually created online. Like somebody created it, and then it became people started seeing it because they're on meth or something.
Yeah, or
just like Ronnie DeFeo.
Psychotic issues, but it literally looks like Jack Skellington.
It was literally Jack Skellington. It's a very sad situation. So that's about it for the cast. Do you want to talk about your ratings for this movie?
Well, I give the first one.
That's not what we're asking.
5 out of 5 Lorraine Warrens. Now, this movie, of course, is not as good. And I think I'm stuck on the 3. So I'm going to give it 3 demonic nuns out of 5.
3 demonic nuns. That's not bad.
That's not bad
at all.
I enjoyed it at the theater. I enjoyed it. I didn't know the story, so it was kind of fun. It's a fun tale.
I thought it was pretty good. I did not think it was particularly scary. I did not think it was outstanding. I thought the original Conjuring was much better.
Yeah.
I will give it, let's say, 3 out of 4 Slender Men. So there you go.
That's
Rotten
pretty good. That's pretty good rating. Slender Man, but not a crooked man. I gotcha.
Right. So, and not Slender Man, but Slenderman. There you go. I don't know what that means.
Does that mean there's more than one?
Could be.
Is like an army of Slender Men, like Daddy Longlegs swarms?
Could be.
What?
It has a 81% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's pretty strong.
So
That's pretty
not
strong.
too shabby.
Yeah.
Strong enough to keep pumping them out, I guess.
I guess so.
There you have it.
So what's the new one? What do you think the new one's going to be about? Are they gonna bring up the sex slave that the Warrens kept after their marriage died, but they continued to stay married? Is it going to be the haunting of the Warrens?
Yes, it is. That's
All
exactly.
right.
It's about their love life. No, it's something like the werewolf. Some guy claimed to turn into a werewolf.
Lord, I'm not excited about that.
So get ready for that.
So now they're hunting werewolves. Is it an American werewolf? And are they in London?
It's not truly a werewolf because, believe it or not, they don't exist. But it's a case of demonic possession where a person believes that they become a werewolf and attack people. I think something like he murdered somebody he shouldn't have. And this is his defense in the courtroom.
And then later on, they'll go after that guy who had the Twinkie defense, who killed the mayor of San Francisco.
He's next, Ed White. Going after him.
God,
that'll be the Twinkie made me do it. We have that to look forward to.
And then the Warrens go to Jonestown. They fly in with the senator. It's fascinating.
Guyana?
Yeah.
French Guiana, whatever it was. There you have it. So go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Email us at thepodcastthatwouldn'tdie at Gmail. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc. So like, share, rate, subscribe, spread the word. And Aaron, you are also on Twitter.
The Cult of Aaron.
Join the cult. And how long is your art expose going on? Is that still going on?
That's going on until July 11th.
So buy some of Aaron's fine
Go
works
to
of
the
art.
BMOA Art Mix. Buy some of my Polaroid enlargements. If you look closely, you might see a ghost.
Do you have Patrick Wilson's nun painting that he hung on the wall for no reason?
Why the hell would you? And framed. He took it over to Aaron Brothers and had him frame it up because that's what I want to see while I'm working.
That
was one kind of a good scene.
Go for it.
With the shadow. The shadow snuck behind the painting and kind of came to life. That was kind of cool.
That was a creative scene. Another creative scene was when they all turned their back on the little girl, where she's like speaking in the Bill voice.
Yeah.
And in the fuzz, like kind of because she's off focus, you see her form slowly change into the old man's form.
That was
and then
a good
slowly
one.
change back. So that was kind of cool. It's almost like if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. One thing I forgot to mention is that, at the end of every Conjuring movie, he takes some artifact, Patrick Wilson, and puts it up on the shelf. So he has the zoetrope or whatever that thing was.
Yeah.
Puts it on the shelf. And then right next to it, you see this upside down skull thing.
Yes.
That skull thing is from the hit body swapping movie Vice Versa, with Judge Reinhold and Fred Savage from 1988. So
and
the
Warrens were responsible for switching them back.
The Warrens got involved in it. Okay, it was a case of demonic possession. So there you have it. So thank you very much.
Do you think that's what's happening with Scott Baio? Should the Warrens be involved with that?
He needs some holy water or something. I don't know what's going on with old Baio, with Chachi.
But Chachi's gone to helly, man. Whoa, he's choosing the wrong side.
Charles is no longer
in charge.
That's what I'm saying. So thank you very much and be well.
But latest skaters, wear a mask.